أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه اللهم نور قلوبنا واشرح صدورنا بنور القرآن والإيمان والإسلام وصل اللهم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, everyone is doing great. Can somebody check whether the live stream is working properly or not, just by visiting the YouTube, and let me know if it's not. If you can do it, otherwise it's okay. If you cannot. So
yeah, it's working. Sorry.
Okay. Jazakallah khairan. Thank you. So inshallah, we will continue with the 25th word. So this is a very, oops, sorry, just a second. I closed my screen. I hope I didn't do anything else other than that. Okay. We will continue, inshallah, 25th word. So this is a little complicated where we are exactly. There's a huge hierarchy. So this is the first light of 25th word. And under first light, we are studying the first ray. And under first ray, we are studying the second aspect. And under the second aspect, this is the second point. First light, first ray, second aspect, second point. So any volunteer who wants to remind us what this 25th word is about in general, even it doesn't even have to be a summary of what we discussed so far, just maybe the topic of overall topic of 25th word. Yusuf, please go ahead.
So let me start a few steps back. In 23rd word, we studied belief and man, how belief changes human, or how is it relevant for human. In 24th, it was a long word, 24th. In there, we discussed manifestations of names of the Creator, how this is manifesting in human over human, and then talked about messenger being the perfect mirror, perfect manifestation of beautiful names. Then we talked about how we can benefit from the messenger. And at the end, we talked about a very day-to-day practical way of interacting with or benefiting from the messenger, which was worship. So in terms of our conversation with the Creator, if we take worship as such, we were benefiting from the messenger. But in general, there were two aspects from which we benefit from the messenger. One was the message that he brings in, which is revelation. The other one is his life as an example of living with this revelation, which was worship. So abduhu wa rasuluhu. So he is the servant, he is the worshipper, and also he is the messenger. When we come to the 25th word, now we started listening to the speech that is brought to us with the messenger. So the message that is sent to us with the messenger. Now we are studying this part. And in the 25th word, since Quran, speech of God is the most clear miracle that is brought to us in the hand of the messenger, author in here is exploring in what sense Quran is miracle, because it's coming out of a human's mouth. If it was like splitting of the sea or resurrecting the dead, these are the things that we have never seen that is coming out of man's hand. But speech coming out of people's mouth, this is all the time. Whoever has a mouth speaks. But Quran is speech of God, and its uniqueness, its miraculousness is in there, the way that it is being said, like as the creator spoke about this. And so the author in here is exploring different aspects of miraculousness of Quran. So previously we talked about the word order and how first we started with a definition description of what Quran is, because it's going to really give us a way how they are going to understand the rest. So we first need to have a brief understanding of what Quran is. And then we started talking about the eloquence of miraculousness of Quran in its eloquence in terms of word order initially. And I guess today it is, as it says, this is the wonderful eloquence in its meaning.
Jazakallah khairan. That was a beautiful summary introduction. Any other additions that you like to make to what Yusuf said already? Okay, we can, otherwise we can continue with reading the second point. Let me read it and then we can inshallah discuss. Second point, this is the wonderful eloquence in its meaning. This is the wonderful eloquence in its meaning. Consider this example, which is explained in the 13th word. For example, if you want to understand the eloquence of the verse, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, all that is in the heavens and on the earth extols and glorifies God, Allah, for He is the tremendous, the wise. So this is from Surah. There must be something wrong with this, sorry. I couldn't get what surah and verse. There's a typo in the book. So, oh, okay. It's hadith and verse. So what do you mean with this, Yusuf? Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, chapter Al-Hadid and then verse number 1. Okay, Jazakallah khairan. Imagine yourself in the age of ignorance. Okay, let me start from the beginning. For example, if you want to understand the eloquence of the verse, all that is in the heavens and on the earth extols and glorifies God, for He is the tremendous, the wise. Imagine yourself in the age of ignorance in the deserts of barbarism before the light of the Quran. Then at the time, everything is swathed in the darkness of ignorance and heedlessness and enveloped in the lifeless veils of nature. At the time, everything is swathed in the darkness of ignorance and heedlessness and enveloped in the lifeless veils of nature. you hear verses from the heavenly tongue of the Quran like, all that is in the heavens and on the earth extols and glorifies God. Or the heavens and the earth and all within them extol and glorify him. So this is from Surah 17 and verse 44. I believe there are many other similar examples in Quran. Saying everything in heavens, or heavens and the earth and everything within them glorifies, extols Allah. Now see how the dead or sleeping creatures, see how the dead and sleeping creatures in the world are raised to life in the minds of listeners at the sound of extols and glorifies him. How they become conscious and rise up and recite God's names. And how at the cry and the light of extols and glorifies him, the stars, which had been lifeless lamps of fire in the black skies, all appear in the view of those who hear it as wisdom displaying words. In the mouth of the sky and the truth pronouncing lights. The earth too, rather than being a desolate wasteland, is seen to be had with the land and sea as tongues, and animals and plants as words of glorification and praise. Let's stop here. There's another example following this, but let's first study this part. The example given by the author is, all that is in the heavens and on the earth extols and glorifies God, for he is the tremendous, the wise. Or the heavens and the earth and all within them extol and glorify him. And he attracts our attention to this last part, which says extols and glorifies him, or extols and glorifies Allah. And says, with this phrase, extols and glorifies him, Quran attributes some kind of consciousness. If this is not just a mere metaphor, if it's not just a metaphor, then Quran is attributing it some kind of consciousness, which for us, it's a sign of life. For us, I mean for human beings, it's a sign of life. Thus, he says, Quran is actually saying that everything you see, heavens and the earth and all within them. I assume kulli is used here, which means like everything without any exception. Everything between them, which you can, consider as talking about anything in literal sense, even a particle of dust, becoming alive creatures, beings. And author contrasts this understanding with the darkness of naturalism or darkness of ignorance, which would claim that everything, including human beings, which is ironic enough, including human beings, are nothing but lifeless lumps of material or anything natural. It doesn't have to be material, really. So, but the life is taken away at one, within one framework, within one understanding of the world, which says there's no such thing as life or consciousness, which is something special. It is just yet another, natural property of things. Or if there's such thing, it's just a mere matter of complexity of things. So that there's nothing much special. But on the other hand, what Quran says, actually, like, no, everything is alive, everything is full of life, conscious, to the extent that there's consciousness, and exalting and glorifying Allah. So this is what I understand in a nutshell, but there's a lot to discuss here. So one question, how talking about this, exalting and glorifying God, is somehow a miraculous aspect of Quran. Why? Why this is something extraordinary? Or if it is an extraordinary, is it something that we, as a human beings, is it something that we incline to, accept? Do we have any, I don't want to say proof, but do we have any anything that we can stick to say, yes, this is true, actually, like I agree with this verse? Oh, and many other questions. Let's start with these, or whatever question you like to elaborate, discuss. So the mic is yours now. Oh, Yusuf, please go ahead.
So author is making a comparison in here. So as if taking us to the alternative of, so if we have never heard about what Quran is saying in here, what would the universe look like for us? Because especially if you are brought up in a Muslim environment, we all heard that there are angels, there are jinns, this and that. So maybe we are not appreciating the beauty or the miraculousness of these verses. So then author is taking us to the contrast of actually what these verses are saying. So then for a second, let's put aside what we heard from this verse and look what the universe looks like without these verses. So when he says, see how the dead or sleeping creatures, before. So he says, imagine yourself in the age of ignorance, Jahiliyyah, in the deserts of barbarism before the light of the Quran. And I think we are not very far from that. So if we just look at the very society, as you have said, that we are living in, this barbarism means you don't give value to anything. You just take lives. This is what I understand from barbarism. You kill people just because of your benefits. For example, if we take the age of ignorance, people were burying their daughters alive because they don't want to be ashamed at some point of their life in the future. So taking a life just so as not to be ashamed in the future. It might be that today people are also burying their child before it's born for fears of what would happen in the future if this child is born, for example. Or even like the very core of the worldview is survival of the fittest. So if you would like to be strong, then you have to defeat others. This is the law of this universe, according to some people. or actually according to the dominant culture, right? So the barbarism is there. And in such a setup, you're trying to conquer the universe. And now that everybody is just freaking out in terms of this climate change and everything, but this is the result of how we considered the universe to be. We thought that it is something to be conquered. We need to uh, dominate it. We need it. It is a resource out there that is to be exploited, and we want to exploit it. We don't consider it as something that needs to be respected or anything of this sort. So in such a setup, what I'm trying to say is this is not far from us really. Age of ignorance is not too far. We are just right in the middle of it. And everything is swathed or just stuck into the darkness of ignorance and heedlessness. So as if we are alone in this existence, either we are going to be dominated by somebody else, which might be as little as a virus. If you are not infected yet, probably you are fearful of getting infected with that virus, for example. And in such a world, everything is so dark, as if I am this little thing in here, everything is attacking me. If I don't stand firm, I'm going to be dominated. I'm going to be cast into non-existence or darkness of death, which is so fearful. And this is the worldview that we are living in. And everything else becomes an enemy, a dark enemy, a meaningless enemy. Just think as in the street you're walking and somebody shouts at you. Are you going to enjoy the scene? So either you would say, what's wrong with this guy? If that person might have some uh, problems, or maybe he or she's trying to steal your money. This is pretty much how we are in this existence. So in such a setup, the whole world, the whole universe is an enemy to me, with them shouting at me sometimes, or a virus infecting me is no different than a random person in the street pointing a gun to me. So why is this happening? Why are you doing that to me? Oh, virus, where did you come from? What's the point of this? It looks like it's totally a random act that is trying to annihilate me. But in such a setup, in such a position I am in, Quran comes and says, all that is in the heavens and on the earth extols and glorifies God. سبح لله ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. All that is in the heavens and on the earth extols and glorifies God, for he is the tremendous, the wise. So this one, now if I take this verse, oh, this is a totally different picture now. It is saying that the virus that you were fearful of, that you considered that it is pointing a gun to you in the darkness of the street, actually it is glorifier of your creator, as much as you yourself is also glorifying your creator, which means you are not enemies to each other. This is a very interesting thing. If this is correct, then my perception is just getting upside down, because I thought that I was the only miserable thing in this existence who is, well, like conscious, aware, trying to make sense of things. All the rest is just random things that are trying to live the day, as if I as human was the only thing in this universe who can complete the pieces, bits and pieces of this existence, and try to make sense of it, while the rest of the things are like a bird being conscious of what it eats. Who cares? Even the bird doesn't care if it's part of the ecosystem or not. It's just trying to eat it and enjoy it and live its day. As for human, we are concerned about what the rest of the universe means. But this verse is saying that no, it's not only you. Everything in this existence is glorifying the creator. So now it starts drawing a totally different picture. And to the extent that I can confirm this, which you pointed to, that I'm not going to get into that. Let's have it extend this part of the discussion. How do I know that they are really glorifying the creator? Because this can mean two things. The first is, are they aware of what they are doing? That's the first thing. Or the second thing is, this glorification is something that I can read also. So to what this glorification looks is an important question to discuss. I just wanted to I don't know, maybe not, it was not very explanatory in general. Hopefully it opens up the discussion. While Birkan is trying to
I know. I again turn off
ahead.
my screen. Sorry. Oh, sorry for that. Jazakallah khairan. I was able to listen. There was no interruption there. So very like in this similar, very similar to what you said. Abdulaziz Old Ismail, he's also asking a question in the comment chat. He says, this is interesting. So regardless of my fate or whether I am alive or dead, I continue to glorify the Creator. How? He asks. Can you please expand? And I think adds to that, saying exactly it is about whether we do it willingly or unwillingly. So Abdulaziz Old Ismail, who is part Berber, as he mentioned in the comments. So would you like to a little bit expand your comment why this is interesting to you and at what part you need more clarification? That will be very helpful if you can do that.
Sure. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
So I was thinking about this sabbaha lillahi ma fis samawati wa ma fil ard. Like it's really yeah, exactly there. It's really powerful, but it's something that I believe in places in Quran you are encouraged to do, to engage in tasbih, right? And I just can't get exactly. Actually, I know this obviously by heart, but I just never thought about it like that. You do it because you are included in what is. I mean, you are included in the part that is all that is in the heavens and on the earth. Like you've got to be there. So you do it. I'm just a little bit confused. Sorry, I can't expand more. That's why I kind of needed help.
Jazakallah khairan. So Atik, would you like to? Okay, yeah, you already raised your hand. Please go ahead.
Well, I want to go on a little bit of a tangent, if I can, and maybe have a stab at explaining what I believe this Quranic ayah means. So that is all that is in the heavens and on the earth extols and glorifies God, for He is the tremendous, the wise. To me, what I think of is like in human culture, maybe we'll see, or people appreciate like a painting or a sculpture, a statue, a building, and and they might appreciate like the person who made it, not just that it exists, but that a person, used their mind to create this amazing thing using whatever materials or shapes and other stuff. And in that way, this art sort of glorifies the artist. And so my analogy is that, the heavens and the earth, everything in creation was sculpted by God himself. And that in that way, it glorifies God, because these are like, let's say they have traces of perfection in them. And it might be interesting to think about, like, a lot of art actually is natural paintings, right? People go out to paint the natural world, and photography, right? National Geographic and this sort of things, they try to capture these miracles that exist. And so we can, so it's not hard to understand that these things are like inherently sort of amazing stuff.
Jazakallah khairan. So you say the art or everything we observe glorifies its creators through the attributes or features, the beauties that they exhibit. So I look at the desk and I see that it's beautifully made, and this realization, whatever I see there, this beauty, design, glorifies its maker. I guess this is what you said. And Abdulaziz Old Ismail says, yes, exactly. Thank you for your help, which means I assume he accepts that. Oh, okay. So that was, I assume, as a response for Nazmu's comment, not Atik's explanation. But okay, Nazmu says, I think Brother Abdul Aziz is asking if everything is already extolling Allah, then why should we do it willingly? Because even if we do not, everything is still glorifying God. Is that accurate, Brother Abdulaziz? Okay, Nazmu, if you are available, would you like to take the mic and explain a little bit more?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I was just trying to break down Brother Abdulaziz's question. I think what he meant was that if everything in the heavens and the earth by default is glorifying God, then why should we glorify God willingly? Meaning, like, even if we don't glorify God, God is not losing out in terms of glorification. If Brother Abdulaziz wants to comment more to explain that question.
Yeah, sure. I think maybe I think that my confusion, part of it is sabbaha, which is the glorification. I believe the translation of it was said as almost in the past, like in the past. And if there are some people who are familiar with the grammar here, feel free, please, to correct me if I'm wrong. But that's at least my feeling, that it has happened in the past, that we all have done that, right? And actually, I'm just kind of so I just kind of was thinking about that. I actually have done this in the past, clearly, and I like the explanation that Atik and Birkan added, because it sounds like it's happening, like whether you link things that you appreciate directly to the creator or not, you're doing it. But I just thought it's interesting. Actually, I think this was more a comment than a question. And yes, you're right. No, Allah is not losing if I don't glorify it or him. But yeah, I think I don't have much to add on this. I just was interested. I just thought it's really fascinating that it has happened in the past, and also I find it like interesting that it's linked to wisdom. Tremendous. He is the tremendous, the wise, Aziz al-Hakim. I thought that's interesting. If anyone has more comments on that, that would be nice. Thank you.
Nazmul, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to. I think I understand the brother's question a bit more. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the past tense in the Quran, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, it's referring both to the past and the present, because from Allah's vantage point, you know, time as we know it doesn't exist, right? So everything that could have happened, you know, will happen, has happened, already happened. So so the past tense used here doesn't necessarily mean that like me or you, we're consciously glorifying God, right? So it could be that, you know, our bodies are glorifying God, or maybe ourselves are glorifying God by following God's laws and so on. But there's still the human ego, let's say, that has a choice whether it wants to glorify God or not. So whether it wants to be thankful or be ungrateful, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says that in the Quran, where He says that we created them to see which of them will be grateful and which of them will be ungrateful. So I hope that sheds a little bit more light on the verse.
Jazakallah khairan, which is also past tense, right? Jazaka Allahu. And we don't use it to mean that Allah accepted your higher, your good doing, good deed, but rather to say we hope Allah will accept it as a almost like a, not almost, just like a wish, a dua. So yes, past tense can be used in different meanings, but even before that, so we have one understanding of glorification at hand, as Atik shared, that everything in a passive form, that's what I understand from what Atik said, in a passive form, without doing anything, like whether it is alive or not, just being beautiful, for instance, something glorifies its maker. This is one way of understanding it. I can see how it, you know, fits to my reality, so my heart can accept that. But in the text, the author, I guess, goes to some extreme in the sense that we are not that familiar with. Goes to some extreme and say that this is indeed relates or tells us that the things, everything, everything we see are conscious, they are alive. And this, you know, the phrase extols and glorifies him tells us that. When author reads this verse, the ayah, and reads the part extol and glorify him, he says, oh my God, my world, everything in my life became alive now. So this is, I guess, different, very much different than this passive glorification. So do you have any comment, any questions regarding this part? Meanwhile, I can read the comments. Ahnaf Ram provides another beautiful example, saying it is like a beautiful car that glorifies the company that made it. Atik then, I guess, replies to my comment, and he says, I would say that it is active in the sense that everything is actively fulfilling its divine purpose by passively existing. And then two brothers sharing love to each other in the comments. Okay. So yes, you can take it as active, but again, I guess in the text, author is talking about maybe another thing, like author says, at least this is what I understand, that things, everything that exists, they are not dead. So for instance, a desk that I'm sitting on, it's not dead or sleeping, it's actually alive and also has consciousness. And it rises up and recites God's name. So I guess this is somehow extreme. Please, Yusuf, go ahead.
So yes, I guess at this point we should question, what would I consider to be alive? What would I consider to be dead? So if something moves, if something multiplies, like gives offspring, as if these are the definitions that we would generally consider as being alive. But in here, Quran is giving us a different description of like an act of a conscious being is what sabaha means. Something like glorifying. Yes, a car is glorifying. That's right. A beautiful car glorifies its maker. But in here, do I consider as the existence as it is glorifying its maker? In a sense, because as the author says, in my perception, are they becoming like consciously uttering something? Because when I look at Atik, let's say, to me, Atik is a live person. Why do I say that? Because he speaks to me, or I can have a conversation with Atik, right? So, but how about the rest of the existence? The verse is saying that everything else is glorifying the creator. Not only Atik is glorifying its creator, maybe Atik time to time makes some religious speech with which I get to know my maker better. So I say, oh, this guy is glorifying his creator. Perfect. But this verse is saying that it's not only Atik, actually, it's everything in this existence that you can see, that you can think of, is glorifying its creator, its maker. So is this the case? Do I see it as such? And would I consider it as a conversation between me and that thing if I hear glorification from that thing, that I would say, oh, that thing is worshiping the creator, like as I say, for example, at the beginning of the discussion, I was mentioning that Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu, he is servant of the creator and he is the messenger of the creator. Do I see the rest of the universe as abduhu as well? Like a tree, your desk, or whatever out there, like the sun and the moon, do I consider them as conscious worshippers? Or is it just like a, in theory, they must be, or they might be? What is my perception of them? Do I see the existence as conscious worshippers? Like, let's say you're going to the masjid, and shoulder to shoulder, you are praying with a fellow believer, a fellow abd that glorifies the same creator as you do, that worships to the same creator, that is aware of the same creator. And puts their forehead to the ground with the same or similar understanding. But do I feel like I am shoulder to shoulder with the sun, with the moon, or with the particles, with the clouds, worshiping the same creator, glorifying the same creator? This verse is saying that everything in the heavens and the earth is glorifying the creator, meaning that you are shoulder to shoulder with them. So because in the first-hand experience, you know what it means to glorify. Yeah, it might, as the car is glorifying its maker, this is one understanding for sure, and it's a very valid and beautiful point. But also, I am conscious of how I am glorifying my creator too. Like this extra level of consciousness is in there. It's not only that the outside observers are aware of how I am glorifying my creator, but I am also aware of what it means to glorify the creator. So is this only me? Like, how about this aspect of being aware? Is it only in me, or is it also in everything else? Everything else is as alive as I am, as conscious as I am of the perfection that is being manifest on them. Like the car, beautiful car glorifying its maker. Is the car aware of that? Is it only me, this miserable like humans out there, who is aware of what others or how others are glorifying their creator? Is this the case? Or this glorification in and of itself in the first place is a conscious act, purely conscious act? Like the whole existence is in a constant conscious state of worship. The difference is important, I think. The reason is, if I don't see the existence as consciously aware of how they themselves are glorifying the creator, I will feel like as if I am going to the Philadelphia Museum of Art, as if breaking in at night. In the darkness, I am the only person in the art museum. There are all beautiful artwork in this art museum, but I am the lone person in this huge art museum who is aware of the glorification in there. Yeah, everything in this art museum is glorifying the artist, assuming that the artist is the one in that art gallery, but I am the only observer. So it's not that much enlightening, really. But if I realize that each and every artwork is also consciously aware of its maker and consciously glorifying, actually their glorification is a conscious act. And this is why actually I am having this conversation as if the car is verbally speaking to me, consciously aware, saying that, look, I am glorifying my maker. Do you see it? And I say, oh yes, I am also glorifying my creator. We are friends, actually brothers in this. So shoulder to shoulder, we glorify our creator. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. So we do worship, in their underlining we part, we worship him and we seek his help, is what this verse is highlighting for me.
جزاكم الله خيرا. So there's also a discussion in the comments. Nazmul says everything is passively glorifying, but human has the gift of free will to actively glorifying. Then there are some questions about angels and free will. I will skip it for now, as the topic is not about the free will, but if you like to speak about it, you are more than welcome. We have free speech here, so you can talk about it if you like. So there is this idea as presented by Nazmul now, that Okay, I can understand this metaphorical glorification. A car is glorifying its maker, but when it comes to glorifying in a literal sense, as if enjoying what is given and then expressing this enjoyment and saying that the one who gives me this thing that I enjoy is Aziz, or what is the word used here? The tremendous and the wise. So assuming such an conscious act, a desk enjoying its existence, whatever is given to it, and then expressing this enjoyment and saying the one who gives me all these, the sustenance, he is the tremendous, the wise. So this is something we do not accept that easily. Why this is so, or the question is if, for instance, what Yusuf is claiming, which is also, I guess, mentioned by author in the text as well. So the question is what difference it makes, maybe first and foremost, because author says, when I look at the creation with these glasses, when I hear this verse, the ayah, and start interpreting the reality, existence, under the light of this ayah, that everything is extolling and glorifying him. Everything is alive. Everything is consciously glorifying God. What changes in my life? There's one question. The second question, I guess, what kind of experience we have in life, which leads us to such an understanding. Like for author, for instance, what kind of experience he had in his life that when reading this verse, the ayah, he concluded that nothing is dead and sleeping, everything is conscious and glorifying God, rather than just saying, as for instance, the Nazmul says here, oh, it means, things are glorifying God by just exhibiting these beautiful attributes. But it's only humans who are consciously, lively glorifying God. So what kind of evidence, what kind of experience we have in our life that would, lead us to one versus the other? Nazmul says, I guess glorifying is a verb, so you cannot do it passively. I see, but so reflection, for instance, it's a verb. But when I say mirror reflects something, at least initially, I do not assume that there's a conscious act there. So maybe this passively part is misleading. I apologize for that. Probably the emphasis is being conscious. Again, what kind of difference we have in such a worldview? And the second, like why this is important, because the author says this is so important. Look, Quran is mentioning this, and this is a miraculous thing. And the second question, what kind of experience we have in life which tells us that Birkan, everything is consciously glorifying God. Any help here? And I'm not asking these questions because, I have the answers and I'm trying to teach you something. Not at all. I don't have the answers. Yusuf, if you are available, since you are a proponent of the second view, which says everything is actually consciously glorifying God, would you like to share with us why do you think so?
So, like the consciousness itself seems to be such a valuable thing in the first place. Like, for instance, like Ahnaf give the example of a beautiful car, and in a beautiful car, there are things that is praiseworthy, right? Or let's think about a beautiful flower. The color, the texture, these are things that are praiseworthy. Like, which praiseworthy means glorification, right? How about the consciousness itself? Consciousness itself is such a valuable, praiseworthy thing in and of itself. Like consciousness is also a creation, a thing, and it is as if at the very crux of all these beautiful things. Because without consciousness, what is the point of a beautiful flower? So let's assume consciousness disappears from the existence altogether. Do you care if there is any beautiful flower on the planet, on the cosmos anymore? If nobody is aware of it, then it virtually does not exist, right? So consciousness is what makes glorification glorification. Like the awareness of it being glorifying makes it a glorification. Otherwise, it's not really glorifying. So now that this verse is saying, as a human, you were not aware of their glorification, Quran comes and tells you about how they glorify their maker and you become enlightened. Beautiful. But then a question comes to me saying, am I the only thing on this planet who is conscious? Is it only me who is seeing it? Like imagine yourself, you are in a room and you start hearing voices. But there are 5 other people in the room and you see that they're indifferent. How would you feel? Am I going nuts? Am I the only person hearing those voices? You would say, right? So in this universe, I am hearing that everything is glorifying their maker. But I ask that question, am I the only weirdo in this existence who is consciously aware of things? Is the consciousness consciously being aware of the creator? Is it only for humans? It shouldn't be. Like if you listen to science, it would say, in general, consciousness is already a thing which is not being explained with the tools of science because it's like matter is not able to measure it. The best science can say is it emerges by the interaction of this and that neurons, whatever that emerges mean in there. But aside from that, yeah, a few of animals, we talk about consciousness to an extent, but the rest of the universe is total darkness for us. Quran says, no, they are not. Quran is talking about other conscious beings, which since our childhood, we get to memorize their names, but maybe we are not aware of what that means. We say angels, we say jinn, but where are those angels? Where are those jinns? Especially when we say jinn, oh, na'udhu billah, we just step back, right? But as if this verse is pointing to what they are. It is saying that the whole universe is consciously glorifying their maker. The flower that you see, it is not any less conscious than you are. The discussion about free will is a totally different thing. What we are talking about in here is being consciously aware of something. Free will is, once this consciousness is given to you, Are you going to admit it, accept it, or reject it? This is another issue. But in the first place, are you given this option to, or the ability to consciously be aware of something? And this verse is saying that in this existence, you are not the only one with consciousness. Why do you think that you are the only one with consciousness? Everything in this existence is as conscious, because consciousness is not something that I create as a human. It's not something inherent to me. It is a creation, like the redness of a rose or the beautiful texture of a rose. It is a creation. Consciousness is also another creation, but such a beautiful and valuable creation, which makes the rest of the existence meaningful for me. But also, the things that I see out there must be conscious of the beauty that is being manifested in them too. Otherwise, what a waste it would be. Like, think about it. I am created, I am being created in here to be aware of my creator. Like, as if the artist painted all those beautiful paintings, put them into the art museum, and only put me as a human to look at them. But he is not allowing anybody else. He didn't put any other conscious being in there, conscious observer. Let's say he didn't put any observer in there. Human is the only observer. What portion of it I am able to observe anyways? So this verse is saying that, no, you are not the only conscious being in here. Why do you think, why do you reduce this valuable thing only to yourself? Just look at the universe. You will realize that they talk to you. And while they are talking to you, they are not unaware of what they are talking about. So as if this is a wake-up call to me, saying that, no, the whole universe is consciously worshiping their maker. It sounds weird to us because we get used to define life and meaning from the perspective of a worldview which in the first place denies meaning, which in the first place reduces life to matter. So I guess this is why this verse is a very fundamentally shaking our worldview. And I think this is why it's miraculous.
Jazakallah khairan. Any other comments, any other questions? Okay, we can either continue with this part, or Abdulaziz, all this fine. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I actually just thought about, and I've been Googling trying to find where it is in English. I think it's in a Rad, I believe. I'm not sure yet. I just kind of know it by heart. But I think the translation is, "And unto Allah falls in prostration whoever is in the heavens and the earth, willingly or unwillingly." I just saw some connection. Actually, there is another one also that I could think of. I think this concept is more frequent than what I thought, that it keeps happening in Quran. Anyways, just wanted to throw that for you guys.
Jazakallah khairan. This is a great point, and I agree. This idea, this concept is almost everywhere in Quran, which brings life to the entire universe. It brings light, nur, to the creation, and through its light gives life to the universe. I totally agree. It's everywhere in Quran. And Yusuf, please go ahead.
And actually, if you think about it in this way, belief in angels becomes very relevant to my day-to-day life. It's not only, oh yeah, Jibril was necessary for bringing in the revelation to the messenger. Azrael is required to capture my life. And then Israfil is waiting to honk the horn. So not like that distant, but it becomes, everywhere I observe conscious worshippers, angels, consciously worshiping the Creator. And if you think about the 24th word, for example, at the end of 24th word, we talked about worship, how much it is central to human life, and why messenger is so necessary, because he was the best example of being a worshipper for a human such as me. But now, if I take this verse into the picture, it says it's not only humans that is worshiping the Creator, as if we are in the mosque, in the masjid of the universe, and with everything else, we worship our Creator. Just think about yourself when you go to the Eid prayer, where every person is saying takbirat at the beginning of the prayer. How do you feel? So being aware that everybody else is glorifying the Creator with you gives you such a strength, such a excitement, feeling the presence of the Creator more than the rest of your daytime, right? Or if you go to, let's say, Mecca, do tawaf in there, just in the atmosphere, when you see thousands of people, their hearts are beating for the same thing, they are glorifying the same Creator, just observing the scene, you are starting to recognize different manifestations of the Creator. His greatness is starting to appear more strongly to you. Now look at the universe as such, like the stars when you look at the night sky, or in the morning when you look at the clouds, or the sun and the moon as they are perfectly following the order, then you say that, oh, they are perfectly glorifying their Creator, obeying the commands of their Creator, glorifying the Creator, and they are my brothers and friends in this existence. So why am I being so neglectful? So let me align myself accordingly. So it is giving me such a awareness, such a higher level of consciousness about my duty in this existence. So then, in a sense, I can live hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder with the angels in this existence, glorify my Creator along with the angels, and become part of the same congregation, Jama'ah, with them. And furthermore, human can become an imam of that Jama'ah, that congregation also. And I think this is why in Surah Al-Fatiha, you and I, we are taking the position of saying, on behalf of all the things, all the beings, we as human is asked to take the duty of khilafah, like this vicegerency, in the sense that we are expected to say, we seek your help. On behalf of all the things, the sun and the moon and the galaxies and everything, O our Creator, we are in need of you. If you don't put us into order, we are going to get into chaos. Everything is going to disappear. On behalf of them, I am declaring that we are in need of you, your sustenance, your providence, and we worship you. So this is why human is this vicegerent, is the imam of this huge congregation. So this is why belief in angels is so instrumental and part of the six pillars of belief. And the reason I would like to highlight this is, I tend to ask students, MSA Muslim students on campus, saying that tomorrow, let's assume a new revelation comes and says, you don't need to believe in angels anymore. Is it going to change anything in your life? Is it going to take anything away from you? And the response is generally not much. Like, just to clarify what I'm trying to say, I say, what about if they say you don't need to believe in God? They say, oh no, it's going to make a huge change. How about angels? Not that much. So the utility of belief in angels actually is can be seen in these verses also, because the whole universe becomes as if consciously aware and glorifying their Lord. And this verse is inviting me to become aware of their consciousness and become part of their congregation and join them in this glorification and even become their imam.
Jazakallah khairan, is the last comment you made about the belief in X, angels or books or prophets. At the very beginning of 25th word in the introduction, after asking the question, what is the Quran? We said, the author said, the Quran is the pre-eternal translator of the mighty book of the universe, the post-eternal interpreter of the various tongues reciting the verses of creation, the commentator of the book of the worlds of the seen and the unseen, the revealer of the treasuries of the divine names hidden in the heavens and on the earth, the key to the truths concealed beneath the lines of events, and so on. So it's as if saying that what you read in Quran, it's not to cause more complexities to your life or introduce something completely new, that, you know, whatever is mentioned in Quran doesn't have any links to your life or the creation as you observe, but rather just the opposite. It says the Quran is the interpreter of your life. What you experience is captured in Quran and revealed to you. All the mysteries of what you experience is revealed to you by the verses of Quran. So when Quran says belief in angel, it is not, it's something new that we need to explain or feel and say that, okay, I believe in angel, I don't know what it is, but I believe in it. But rather itself, believe in angel, it's an answer, an explanation to what you experience, what you observe in reality, but you cannot make sense of it. So it interprets what you have in your hand. It gives answers to the questions which are arised as you experience life. So again, belief in angel, as I understand what you are saying, Yusuf, belief in angel is an answer, is a name, is an explanation of what we experience is in life. It's not something external, it's not something addition. That because you have your life, you have all these experiences, but forget about them for a moment. You should also believe in angels, which will be, you know, explained later in afterlife. But rather believe in angel, I'm, you know, repeating the same thing again and again, but I think it's important. Belief in angels is the explanation, answer to what you already experience in life. There's something you experience in life that you cannot name, that you cannot explain, that you cannot, understand. You say there is a treasury, there's a mystery there. But it is revealed, it is concealed, it is veiled. I don't know what is behind it. And Quran comes and explains it, says that, oh, it is angels, that what you experience. And maybe to give an example, just one a simple example, as I understand, you go outside. It doesn't have to be outside, but it's just an easy example. You go outside, assuming, let's say you have a fight with somebody, you are in a bad mood for some reason. You go outside, breathe fresh air, feel the lights of sun, the heat of sun, start walking, looking at the flowers, all the beautiful things around you. And then new, fresh set of feelings start filling your heart. Your bad mood transforms into a good mood. Something affecting you, something, making you happy. Or just the opposite. You are in a perfect mood. You go outside, see all this garbage, which is piled on the corner of your building by careless people. And you look at them, and now you have another set of feeling in your heart. So this change, this experience that you have, it's almost you interacting with the creation, right? The flowers is telling you something, the sun is telling you something, making you, the happy, trying to make you smile, just like a friend of yours. Of course, you can just say, this is just natural occurrences, nothing special there. Or if you are religious, but real religious person, you just say, oh, Alhamdulillah, God made me, which is true, definitely true. But it's obvious that you skip some steps there, right? Like your interactions with the flower, your interaction with the flowers, the sun, the air, the stairs that you step. As if they are helping you to make you more, like make you happier. They are telling you something. The sun is telling you that I am here for you. I'm placed here for you. So that I can, provide you heat, the light. Sun is speaking to you. Flowers are speaking to you, air is speaking to you. You experience this. You're not being alone. In the how would you say, by the first hand? In the first hand, at the first hand, what is the correct? Help me, please. First hand experience, yes, okay. You have this first hand experience. The things is talking to you. Things are, interacting with you. This is not something strange for you. This is not something foreign. You have this experience every time you interact with your furnitures, you interact with flowers, air, or everything in creation. So we have this conversation with things. But most of the time we skip it. Most of the times we don't think about it. We just say, I'm just making up stories. Because we don't see any agent, any living being, any conscious being there to make the conversation with. But still, the conversation is there. as Yusuf was saying, the sound is there, somebody is speaking to you, but you don't know who. You don't know who's speaking to me, what is speaking to me. And Quran comes and explains it. Believe in angels. So I think this idea of not being alone, the idea of being surrounded by conscious beings, creatures, is not something extraordinary. It's not something, the foreign to us. It is something we have first-hand experience every single moment. And this is so important, realizing that, acknowledging that is so important. Because we know what happens otherwise. We fell in the trap of depression, loneliness. As we had to stop social interactions with this, the COVID situation, as all nightlife, the stop for a moment, or our social gatherings had a pause, the depression levels increased like tripled in a few months. And these are just, the numbers from the formal sources. Probably informally, like which are not documented, is much worse. May Allah help them. May Allah help us. Every one of us experiencing this. The idea of loneliness, being trapped in our house alone, kills us. This is something that important to us. We need a company. We need other living creatures to accompany us. And Quran says, with its miraculous tongue, this is the case, Birkan. Everything that you experience, everything that you interact is talking to you, telling you something, glorifies, extol their creator. They can hear you, and you can hear them. And this, like as author said, takes me from darkness to enlightened reality. Any other comments, questions? So there's also another example, but since we have only 2 minutes, I don't want to start with it. So I would appreciate your final comments or questions or disagreement with the first example. Okay, there are 2 hands. Sorry, what happened to hands? Atik raised his hand. Someone else, I didn't see the name, unfortunately. You know who was the first, so please go ahead. Whoever was the first. Okay, it is Yusuf. So Atik, you go ahead, please. Let's hear Atik first and then Yusuf, inshallah.
I had a comment on, this whole, to tie it in with like the whole thing about depression and whatnot. I feel like a lot of that stems from, the E word, existential crises, and forgetting about one's purpose in life. And I think if we accept that everything around us is a conscious being and glorifies God, you would ask, why is it? For what are they glorifying the Lord for? And I think it's that everything has a purpose, that, you know, the sun, it does the same thing every day without fail, and it does not complain. And I think, you know, it appreciates the purpose it was given to spread light in the world. And you know, the trees, everything around us has a purpose. And so we should think about our own purpose, and you know, appreciate that we were not created purposeless, that there isn't no meaning to our lives, that there's something out there for us to do, and for that we should glorify
Jazakallah khairan. Very important point. All these glorifications reminds us that we have a lot to glorify as well, to appreciate as well, like our purpose. Jazakallah khairan. Yusuf, please go ahead.
And taking this conversation back to our main point, which is the wonderful eloquence in its meaning, like why is that meaning so wonderful? Is it something so wonderful? Like, is this beyond human reach? Because once we hear it from Quran, it enlightens everything else. But is it peerless? Because I think this is the point of the author also, saying that if Quran didn't tell us such a thing, it looks like we wouldn't be able to figure this out by ourselves. We would feel something is missing, but once such a message comes to us, then we say, because what is being said in here is such a, as if looking at the existence from bird's eyes view, which is as if I'm trying to, when I'm from within the picture, I'm trying to make sense of the picture. But a bird's eye view of the picture tells me that everything around you that you're trying to make sense of, actually you are on the same team, and you all together are glorifying the Creator. When I hear this news from outside, and then when I try to apply it to my experience, I make sense of it. I say, yeah, I agree with that. But when I am inside the picture, like as a human, if I close my ear to the revelation and I try to make sense of the existence and say, why is sun rising in there? Why is this coronavirus attacking me? Like, then it's becoming dark for me, because I consider them to be all individual agents, and I'm not able to see this all-encompassing message by myself. And I think this is why such a message is so beautiful, because practically speaking, mankind was not able to reach to such a conclusion by its own accord. Like if we look at the result of humans thinking over thousands of years, we don't hear such a conclusion being reached. But when revelation comes and tells me, I say that, okay, now it makes sense. Now everything is sitting into its proper place. So I guess this is why it is wonderful in its meaning.
It is wonderful and also miraculous. It is miraculous that with just one verse, one ayah, it illuminates the entire universe, the entirety of our life. Just one verse with its meaning illuminates everything we have. This is so miraculous.
And just to chime in again, and it's so beautiful that like every other pillar of Iman, like the pillars of faith, belief in angels is also so necessary, so fruitful, so central in my day-to-day life. So this is why it's not like this list of documents you need to bring in to get a visa, as if they don't want to give you a visa, they just put some extra documents so as to make it more intimidating, and you bring this, okay, put a check mark. Not like that, but as you were saying, pillars of belief are the necessary things in my experience, just naming them, categorizing them, and putting it into their proper place, as in the example of belief in angels. Alhamdulillah.
Jazakallah khairan, everyone who contributed, who just listened, joined us with their presence, and everyone who wanted to join but couldn't. Alhamdulillah. Let's stop here, inshallah. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. الفاتحة.